Hey guys, it's Woody the Unexceptional Gamer, bringing you a game of domination on firing range with the Commando. So this is Road to Woody's Wife. If you haven't seen it before, quickly, it's a series where I cover all my girlfriends from 6th grade all the way up to the woman I married and stopped with. So let's get into this. When the last one left off, I had been dating like all the girls I possibly could over the summertime. I entered my school year kind of tan and with a new self-image that, you know, I had never felt cool. I had never been tan, and now I felt like both those things. Not that a tan is everything, obviously, it's a stupid little thing. But, you know, I entered my senior year as kind of a new guy. Like, you know, I was on a much healthier mental state, and you know, I came in my senior year ready to, I don't want to say rule the school in such a lame, like, kiddie way, but, you know, I came in there ready for things to be better than they had ever been before. Now, a lot of guys have asked for pictures, and I'll tell you, I looked all over for my senior yearbook. I really wanted to show you, you know, some shots of me and some shots of my senior girlfriend, but I couldn't find it. Maybe in another video I'll find something. But what I did do is I found some pictures of me from the following year. So this is me headed into my freshman year of college as opposed to me heading into my senior year in high school. And this is me being a total pedo, taking little girls on rides on a surfboard. So when I was a guard, we had what we called mascots, and they would help sometimes like move the equipment and stuff. And in exchange, we would give them attention, and if the surf was right, I would take them surfing. And the #1 rule on my beach, if you're a 10-year-old girl and I'm going to take you tandem surfing, is you got to keep your goddamn knees together. I am embarrassed to admit how much 10-year-old hooch I saw from my little mascots. But they were totally cool kids, brother and sister, twins if I remember right, but brother and sister. And yeah, I would take them out surfing and we would have a good time. And it wasn't really a pedo thing, I'm just telling jokes. Back to the girl. So, I picked up Christy, and that's her real first name, but I'll leave out her last name, at the perfect time. So, Christy, in my senior year, was one of the best looking girls in my high school. I remember sitting in this world politics class, and guys were kind of, you know, voting on who the hottest girls were, and I wasn't really in the conversation, but I was psyched to figure out that my girlfriend was among the top 5 hottest girls in high school. Now, I was not among the top 5 hottest guys in high school. I think I was a little weaker in real life than I was in the pictures I just showed you because, you know, I was still blooming. I was kind of a late bloomer. But she was hot, and looking back, the reason I nailed her, yeah, we'll get to that. The reason that I landed her was timing. It was timing, man. So check this out. When I first started dating her, her hair was like this total mess. It was all singed. It turned out what happened was she had made brownies like at home with her family, and when she opened the oven door, this wave of heat came out. And it burnt all her hair. And I don't know if you guys have ever burnt your hair, but it gets like kinky and doesn't lay right. And it was a bit of a mess. So she had that going on when I first met her. And I had just gotten her after she took her braces off. So if you can picture this, right? Like the girl that she had been the month leading up to when I dated her was a person with burnt hair and braces on. And I don't mean to diss braces. I know a ton of my subs have braces. I had braces, which is a whole nother story. You know, they're part of growing up. But I think that we're all excited when the braces come off, right? I mean, let's just admit that. So, and I think that, you know, your 1 to 10 good looking scale bumps up by a point or so when they come off. We can say that, right? So, anyway, look at that, we're getting our butt kicked in this game. But, you know, so when I first started dating her, she really was kind of this ugly duckling, right? You know, she wasn't at her prime. But only a few weeks after I started dating her, she was one of the hottest girls in the school. And I think that's how I overachieved in high school my senior year in terms of getting a good girl. Or at least a good-looking girl. As far as how good she was, well, let's talk about that. When we dated, I always had this feeling that I was like lucky to be dating her. That I don't know, like you know, I always sort of work to get emotionally closer. I always sort of work to build a relationship. It's kind of built into who I am. I'm kind of this guy that gets serious and, you know, works on relationships. And every girlfriend I ever had, I would view in terms of, I used to call it girlfriend potential, but it really meant wife potential. I really wanted them to, you know, be the sort of person that I like spending time with, and not just, you know, hanging out with, even though I knew it had no future, right? That was never my style. And something about Christy, I always knew that it wasn't forever. I always knew that, you know, this relationship had its flaws and needed some work. And she just wasn't the perfect girl on the inside. So one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was my car. So in the last Road to Woody's Wife, I totaled the thing, right? I rolled it over, I broke my arm, and I fell asleep while I was driving. So without having enough money, you know, to go out and get a new car, I was like, you know, what am I going to do? You know, how am I going to get to school? I had this taste of freedom, this taste of being able to go anywhere I want, anytime I want. I had a job. I always worked. So I had my gas money and you know, but I was kind of brokish. So what did I do? This is what I did. I picked up this guy right here, a Honda Interceptor 500. It was my first motorcycle, first of 3, and I rode that thing everywhere. And Christy was pretty good about it, actually. You know, a lot of girls wouldn't have wanted to ride a motorcycle around the winter time in Ocean City, New Jersey, but she was a sport. You know, she just bought some warmer clothes and you hopped on the back, and we would do whatever. I used to ride that thing like a wild person. My goal was always to double the speed limit. So if around town the speed limit was maybe 35 miles an hour, I would want to go 70. If on the highways, the speed limit at the time was 55. On the highways, I would go 110. You know, that was like always my objective, to be doubling the speed limit everywhere I went. Not when I rode with 2 people for the most part, but I did pull wheelies with 2 people. That was always a blast. They'd get a big kick out of it. But yeah, so I rode this motorcycle everywhere, and that was my first bike, and we did that. Now, a lot of people have asked me about the time I lost my virginity. So I mostly haven't talked about it, but it's Road to Woody's Wife, and it seems like it would be incomplete without it. So what do I say? It was January. It was during a Super Bowl party. And we had a little bit to drink, but we weren't, you know, not excessively or anything. You know, I didn't, you know, this was, I think, during the swim season. And I had pretty much stopped drinking even soda for its carbonation. So it was just appearance drinking, to be honest with you. And, which is to say, you know, drinking because I'm at a party and I didn't want everyone to haze me, you know, holding a beer in my hand. And so it was the Super Bowl. And it was halftime, and we went to my friend's bedroom. So this is kind of a cool thing in itself. My friend's parents would let him drink at the house, and I look back at their motivation for that. Part of it was that they felt like if he drank at the house, then he wasn't drinking somewhere else, and he wasn't drinking and driving. And that makes sense on some level. Another part of it is that the 2 of them were going through a divorce, and I think that, you know, they wanted to be like the cool parent. They wanted, there was a certain element of trying to appeal to their son and loosening up the rules a bit because, you know, they were figuring out where the kids were going to live, and it doesn't hurt to be the cool parent. So anyway, we're drinking at my buddy's house and watching the Super Bowl. And then, you know, we head off to his bedroom and we start fooling around. And to tell you the truth, my first experience was not everything I hoped it would be. We were messing around. I was on my back and she was kind of, you know, on top of me, and we were kissing and this and that. And, you know, you know what made it so bad? In the end, she had regrets. And that was the part of it that I didn't want it to be. That was the thing that I would change. It wasn't like I forced the issue. I guess I was persuasive, but not in like a physical sense or anything. She was on top. Well, we wore condom, so you know, it's not like, you know, I tricked her. But afterwards, she seemed to have these regrets, and that was the part of it that I didn't like. Now, you know, we ended up doing it a gazillion times more over the next 10 months. But yeah, that was my first time, and it kind of sucked. So, you know, sometimes people ask me for advice about first times, and you know, one of the key takeaways I have from there is, you know, make sure you have time, make sure you won't be interrupted, make sure that you know, you both have thought it through, and that this is, you know, it's really this low stress, perfect, you know, experience that you're going for, and not this, like, you know, impromptu thing like it was for me. So yeah, there you have it. That's what my first time was like. The last thing I guess I'll cover is the breakup with her. So it was always kind of known that we weren't going to last forever. You know, even in my early years, I used to date people based on what I called, you know, do they have girlfriend potential, this wife potential thing, like I mentioned earlier. And, you know, I think we both knew this wasn't a forever relationship. I think we both knew that we were going to break up, but we didn't have any reason to break up. Like, you know, I'm kind of a good boyfriend. I think that was part of why, you know, we stayed together so long. I would work on the relationship. I'd find out what she was thinking. I'd, you know, do what I could. And so, yeah, you know, we kept dating for a while, but she went to college in Texas and I went to college in New Jersey, my first college. So there wasn't really any need to actually break up. We didn't need a big event to make that happen. Instead, we just went to different schools and, you know, kind of drifted apart. We ended up actually dating again or not dating again, but we saw each other over Thanksgiving. Like, I went to visit her in her school, and I probably wouldn't have had I not bought plane tickets earlier, like, you know, in late September or something. And, you know, we were civil, and I guess we kissed and stuff, but in the end, we kind of agreed that this was the end of the relationship. And I think that she had dated other guys, and I had, you know, kissed a girl or two while I was in college. And that's just kind of a normal thing, you know, like, we were broken up without saying we were broken up. And that was how the relationship ended. So this series will end with a dual com with my wife, where we'll talk about all kinds of fun things. Maybe it'll be an extra long one. I hope so anyway. But here it is, Road to Woody's Wife, Episode 5. Check the playlist if you want to see the others.